Hey there, it is November 4th, 2015, Wednesday, Comic Book Day, and we're starting a little differently this week because we are starting with the DC books. First off is Bat-Mite, issue number 6. First, I really enjoy the cover because I'm a sucker for claymation, and you have a little clay Bat-Mite there, which is pretty neat. We begin this book with Bat-Mite deciding that he's done improving superheroes, and he's now improving the rest of the country, starting with national monuments. So he turns Mount Rushmore into a Bat Family monument. He turns the Washington Monument into a water slide for Aquaman, and I just think this is legit awesome. Turning the Statue of Liberty into Wonder Woman. I think that's like legitimately really cool. And then he helps out the American presidential candidates. So Jeb Bush's new catchphrase or slogan. Hillary Clinton gets a new dress. Bernie Sanders becomes Tommy Wiseau, I guess, and there's just no helping Trump. So says Bat-Mite. He even goes in. Tries to help Obama fix the country. And I'm really glad to see that Obama's the president in the DC universe right now. They had that with, I think it was Superman, Wonder Woman, and now with this, and I'm pretty sure I saw it like a third time somewhere else, but I do like that Obama is the president in the DC universe. He's better than Lex Luthor. I think even hardcore conservatives have to admit that. But then he runs into his old enemy, at least in this book, Gridlock, and he has one sort of final confrontation with Gridlock, where Gridlock will kill him after the two are done watching the pilot to Galaxy Quest, or Galaxy Trek, which is, of course, the Star Trek sort of parody that they have going in this book. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I really thought this book was kind of funny, like I said, in a very sort of Animaniacs kind of way. This is, DC Animaniacs, I feel. So yeah, I have enjoyed it. And if this were a limited series, which I think it began as, then I would be like, pretty great, funny, limited series, good all ages book. If you're younger, or if you know a younger kid, I think they'd enjoy it, they'd get something out of it. Just really well drawn, I think. Just a good kind of all ages sort of book. But if this is going to be an ongoing, which is implied by the final page and talking to people in the comic book store that I go to, they thought that it might be an ongoing now because it sold pretty well or something. And if that's the case, I'm probably not going to continue buying it. I mean, I did enjoy it, but it's not something I have to read month to month, But yeah, these 6 issues I don't regret buying. Again, I think they're a really good kind of all-ages comedy book taking place in the DC universe. And, if it stops there, good. If it continues, if it's the same quality, good. But I probably won't be picking any more up. And that is Bat-Mite. Next up, we actually have 2 Darkseid War tie-ins. First is Darkseid War The Flash, where Flash becomes the god of death, the Black Racer, and then decides, no, not for me, and decides to try and outrun death itself. And through racing death, through this whole ordeal, as he's trying to escape death and escape becoming the Black Rider, and we get some insight into Barry's character, some kind of reinforcement of what he is, but it's kind of a good reminder. We get this great moment, I think, kind of earlier on when Flash stumbles for a bit and he's talking to the Black Racer, and the Black Racer is, "You were born from death," being that the death of his mom, of Nora Allen. And what I like is that Barry says, he reassures the reader, no, Barry didn't become the Flash to avenge his parents' death. He's not Bruce Wayne. That's not what drives him to be a hero, which I like. I like that pretty much all the Flashes are heroes because they choose to be. you know, because they're just good guys and they want to use their power to protect people, but they're not driven to avenge a death in the family or something like Spider-Man or like Batman. And so I like that they reinforced that here. And then we get kind of like a more, I guess, cerebral kind of trip as Death convinces, or as the Black Racer tries to do his best to convince the Flash to just let him in and to become his host. Where we see a world without death, and Barry tries very valiantly to not become the Black Racer, but the Black Racer has some really convincing arguments, so to speak. So yeah, Black Racer basically tells the Flash that he just has to take one life to save the universe, and at the very end, Barry Allen tries to find a third option, which is like great. I love it. It's very valiant. I think it does really well in the book. I think for the few pages where it's like, okay, I'm going to take a third option. I've got this. I'm not going to betray my ideals. I'm going to stay a hero and be the Black Racer, and I think it's just really neat to see how that turns out. For a one-shot, I quite liked it. For a tie-in, it's pretty good. Just a good kind of, like Batman, like the Batman tie-in. It's an examination of the character, in a way. It's saying, this is a character now who's undergoing a major transformation. For Batman, it was having the weakest member, of the Justice League, the mortal member, become omnipotent, in a way, become a god. And you see the transition of the Batman character from mortal to god. And here, with Barry Allen, it's kind of seeing a character who really just wants to save everyone, who doesn't want to harm anyone, doesn't even want to hurt his villains, He's just like a nice guy, and seeing him transition to death, to the ultimate morbid being, And I think it's an interesting little character piece. I quite liked it, as I said. And the art was pretty good, too. Next up, our second Darkseid book tie-in is Superman. And I love-hate this book, which is kind of a weird way to put it. But, again, these are all like re-examinations of the character. And so with Superman, you have the god being. The being who's already kind of a god on Earth, a physical, walking god of a man. And he's getting stronger, which, that's not a big thing. Superman getting stronger, kind of negligible. So what they do is they flip his worldview. Instead of instead of kind of multiplying his character by saying, okay, so who's here he is normally, and then with all this extra power, they turn Superman into the opposite of Superman. It's all of the power with a reversed mindset. And that's why I love this book, because it is the ultimate terrible reading of Superman. This book asks, what if Superman were an objectivist? And if you don't know what an objectivist is, it's a philosophy that was thought up by an author named Ayn Rand, who wrote books like Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, and I think Anthem is another book of hers. And she's this kind of super... Like she's been co-opted by the conservative movement, by like very right-wing kind of politics. And this asks, what if Superman were an objectivist hero? What if he were like the Ayn Rand Superman instead of the Superman Superman? What if he was in this for himself? What if he was the Uber? What if he was the Ubermensch? If he realized he is the most powerful being in the universe, and we are all beneath him. And if he takes that position of like the, not the humble Clark Kent, good old boy Superman, but a Superman who realizes that he is more powerful and uses that power how he sees fit instead of how he believes that we want him to use it. And I think that, again, I hate this Superman. I am not a fan of objectivism. And so I hate this Superman. But I think it's such a good bad reading. Like this is what would happen if Superman were an objectivist, which is just, again, it's such a great bad reading of Superman, because I'm sure there are people who do take Superman and have that idea of him. Oh, no, Superman, he's the world's strongest man. He doesn't need to follow our laws. He's the Nietzschean Ubermensch. He's the Ayn Rand, self-made hero guy person. So, again, it's a Superman I hate seeing, but it is done really well, and it makes sense for the, it fits the crux of the book, so to speak. And then at the end, there's a little moment where they reverse it a bit. They have the real Superman break through. So, again, I really like that. A good portion of this book is just Superman being a jerk. So he goes to a diner, he steals someone's pie, and then just demands pie from the diner, from Melvin, who runs the diner. And he has a really kind of tense moment with Jimmy Olsen, because Jimmy Olsen recognizes that something's wrong with Superman. And Superman, Jimmy Olsen's like, no, you're one of us, and you'll never be alone, and, we're here for you. And Superman just says, I don't need you. I'm better than you. Don't insult me by saying I'm one of you. I'm better. Which is, like, a total, like, Ayn Rand thing to do. This book is, it's such a great bad Superman that I don't know. I enjoyed it, I guess, in a weird sort of way. I liked it. And the final book for this part of this week's reviews is, of course, Batman and Robin Eternal, issue number 5. We begin this issue, and we begin actually with a flashback instead of having the flashback in the middle, where Batman and Robin have tracked Crane down to this old church, and inside the church, Crane is being kind of harassed by Orphan, and we find out Cassandra Cain, who apparently used to work with Mother, rather, not with Mom. Not the Futurama character. Batman and Robin make a spectacular entrance through the stained glass church windows, but alas, it is too late. Orphan and Cassandra and Jonathan Crane have escaped. Jumping back to the present, we have Dick Grayson try to kind of interrogate Tim Drake's parents. Grayson thinks that maybe Tim Drake's parents are somehow involved with Mother, or maybe Tim Drake is a sleeper soldier of Mother, and he's just trying to get some answers. But he is interrupted by Poppy, who is the back from the dead Spiral operative who is now being controlled by Mother and is out for Dick Grayson. Meanwhile, Cassandra Cain has led Bluebird to the church from the flashback, where they are once again ambushed by Orphan, and the three get into a skirmish there. As for an issue, again, it's a single issue of a weekly story. It's hard to review on its own. But I think this is a pretty successful issue that really drove the story forward, and creates some interesting character tension by the end of the issue. You have the fallout of Dick Grayson going behind Tim Drake's back, and Tim eventually finding out and how he reacts to that. And Tim makes a really good point of how this whole mission is changing Dick Grayson in a very pronounced way. And then you have just kind of the three-way fight between Orphan, Cassandra Cain, and Bluebird, where we see how Cass's character has really grown between what we see in the flashback and what we see in the present day, or the present time of the comic. I quite like this. I think it was a really successful issue in driving the story forward. Again, good character development too, and just some pretty fun art overall. I mean, that one page I showed you with Batman and Robin crashing through the window, just super cool. IMO. And that is it for this part of this week's comic book reviews. That was just the DC books. If you're interested in some Marvel books or some indies that I picked up this week, those will be in parts 2 and 3 of this week's videos, so I hope you watch those. But before that, I want to thank you for watching this part. I hope you enjoyed. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want more of these, without having to type in my channel name into Google or whatever every week, please subscribe. Just, I think, makes life easier for the both of us. And, yeah, but, you know, anyway, comments, questions, any of that, also, feel free to leave them below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I do hope you join me for some more comic book reviews.